the other big story of the week, and that, of course, is the Seattle Mariners, who still leading the West, but not quite as red hot as the last time we spoke. Ran into a rough patch this weekend against the Houston Astros. And slowed them down. Got swept at home by the Astros. Let's see, 10-6, 3-1, and 3-2. And then had a bit of a bump against the Indians on Monday as well. Fell 6-4. This is a bit of a rough patch for the Mariners here to open the season. What are your thoughts on this, man?
I mean, it's been interesting. It's been fun to get behind because, they started so hot, but you just had to kind of realize that these bats would cool off and, this would kind of happen. Right now they're trailing 4-1 in the bottom of the seventh as we're recording this. And this morning, actually, they fell to second behind the Astros by half a game in the AL West. So not even first place after that amazing start. Actually, the AL West, interestingly enough, no one is under 500. So they're going to be dealing with some stiff competition going forward. So if they don't regroup soon, it's going to be a tough season, like what everyone kind of expected.
Whole division cruising. The Astros 9 wins in a row is what they had racked up there at least. So my question for you is: does this concern you? Are you worried at all, or is this just all part of the season? How you feeling?
I mean, it's like we talked about last time. I never really bought into a playoff run. I never bought into them being really successful in any kind of way, to be honest. But we have to buy into the fun and ride it while we could, because this is what the team's going to be. They're not a very great hitting team. They got off to an amazing start.
Very hot start.
They're first in the league right now in home runs, RBIs, third in average. They got off that great start. They average more than 8 runs a game.
Yeah, what do they have, like 18 home runs, 18 games in a row with a home run or something?
Right. That's recent jeopardy right now. They're trailing 4-1, bottom seventh. The only run they got in was just RBI. So, so that's recent jeopardy. These bats are just gonna cool off, man. They're gonna get figured out. The pitchers are gonna get warmed up, and it's just kind of what we all expected if we've been really following this team this year. It's kind of like last year when the Mets started the season 14-2. It just didn't seem like it was going to hold up, and right now we're seeing that from the team. They're struggling, when it comes to defense. Their bullpen is ranked 20th in the league right now. So really just continue to have fun with the team. I wouldn't expect a lot out of it. This is a tough division, like you said. So.
Well, we talked before. This the things that always get them in trouble. It's the defense and the bullpen are the two major worries for this team. And the defense has been horrendous this year. They lead the league in majors easily. But on a high note, they didn't commit a single error against the Astros. And I agree with you. I'm buying into the fun of this team. I'm not necessarily buying into them on a playoff level or a World Series level yet. But this is a fun team, and they got some power in the bats. They're averaging just over 8 runs a game in their first 16 games. It seems like everybody's got home runs. You know what I mean? Bruce already has 7 of them. They've got They're ranked third in average, first in home runs, first in RBI. The team is hitting, and they're going to continue to hit. We've seen them hit. We know they can hit. Those bats are going to find the ball. But yeah, there's going to be bumps in this season because this is a team not quite built for it. And the Astros, on the other hand, are. And I'm not as concerned about this weekend because, they faced Verlander and Cole. That's who held them down. They got 10-6. That 10-6 in that first game, but then Verlander holds them to 3-1, and then Garrett Cole holds them to 3-2. Those are two of the best pitchers in the American League, and that's going to happen. That said,
I'm just not as optimistic, man.
I'm a little more concerned about these losses to the Indians. The Indians are not the Astros, and the team at 6-4. That's not quite what we're looking for. I thought the bats that had some opportunities in that game on Monday. That 7th inning, I think it was, where they had the bases loaded and brought up, was it Vogelback or was it Beckham? Somebody, one of the big bats came up there in the bottom of the 7th, and they couldn't get a run across.
Mitch was at the bat and he struck out.
Haniger, that's right. It was Haniger.
Haniger was at the bat, and the whole stadium got up. I was at the game.
You were at that game, right?
We all got to our feet, and we got pumped, and he struck out, but. That's the game. You can't really expect too much out of that. But the bats really have cooled off, though, just because in the last couple of games that they've only hit, just a few runs across the board. Like right now, they only have one run. Yesterday, they tagged in 4, but the game before that, just 2, and then 3 before that, and then 1 before that. So these guys, the bats are cooling off. Tim Beckham, especially, like the first week, he was a superstar. He was a stud. He was batting 400, had 4 home runs, all the RBIs, and all that good stuff. But since then, he's got 7 errors, and his bat has definitely cooled off, and he's just making a lot of bad fielding decisions. Like earlier today, we could have easily gotten out of the inning with a double play, but he couldn't transfer the ball, to his other hand from the glove. So it was just these little things that we're going to have to kind of expect from this team. They're not that good, so I'm just not as optimistic as you are about the hitting, because I don't think that the hitting is going to sustain. I think that it's just a early season.
Just a blip.
Pitchers haven't figured them out yet. And once they do, it's going to be really tough for them.
Well, we talk all the time. You can't you can't win a championship in April, but you sure can lose it.
Right.
And thus far, the Mariners have not lost April yet. So they even with the cooling bats, they're still 13-6. If they lose tonight, while we're doing this on Tuesday, if they lose tonight, they're still 13-7. That's 6 games above 500. That's still pretty good so far. And we talked about Beckham. He is cooling off. It's absolutely true. His average is down to 317. So there is some hope from the hot start that you can rekindle. You get a blip early and find your way. I thought this series against the Indians would help a little more, because they are headed to the Angels for a 4-game series against the Angels in Anaheim this weekend, and that's not going to be easy. They beat them before, but that is not going to be easy in Anaheim. The Angels are starting to pick up their pace. They got a day off. They play a couple of games against the Padres, and then they come home and play the Rangers here at T-Mobile Park over the final weekend in April. And I think that the Angels series and the Rangers series really is an opportunity for this team to put some distance between itself and division rivals. You gotta win those division games in April if you wanna have it matter. And I think that this game against the Astros was a test. I don't know if they failed. They certainly didn't pass with flying colors. We got to give them, they got swept. You got to give this a failing grade. But all things considered, it's not as bad. We're going to see another test against the Angels this weekend, especially if this Indians series keeps going the way it is. We're going to have to find a way to bounce back. We're going to find out what this team's made of in the next few weeks, I think, and we'll have a better sense of it going forward,
Yeah, the Angels have found their stride. They're 8-8 since their bad start to the season. So we gotta really just get ahead. One thing my one prediction I got is we lost the division lead today, and I predict that we don't ever regain it. I just don't think we'll ever get that back. I think
it's possible. I wouldn't expect this team to win the division. They are a wild card hopeful at best.
I just really, I don't know. I'm looking forward to the rest of the month. If they can turn this back around, but the last 5 games have really been an indicator of what I think this team really, really is and what to expect from them. It's just, like I said, the first 15 games were wild. Bogey got hot. Beckham got hot. Domingo is still hot, but it's gonna cool off.
And more bad news coming out of the Mariners camp this weekend with the Astros. They lost pitcher Wade LeBlanc with an oblique strain. Big loss. He's going to be out 4 to 6 weeks. Now, on a high note, they did call up Eric Swanson, who's one of the hot shit young guys they got from the Yankees in the Paxton trade, and we get to see him pitch here in the majors for a spot. He's supposed to be real good. Got some good stuff. Looking forward to seeing him. Hopefully it won't be too big a drop. We'll get him some innings up here in the bigs, and then Wade can come back, and hopefully